Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, I want to talk to you about how criticism from your PMDD partner can kill your confidence. And I really wanted to talk about this because I am on a whole journey of rebuilding myself since the breakup with my ex-PMDD partner. And I've also been dealing with a lot with my private clients with really rebuilding themselves once they've received criticism from their PMDD partner. And I wanted to give you the tools today on that because I have walked with PMDD partners so many times on their own breakups and everything that they've had to do to really rebuild themselves after that. And now I just know and I feel like walking through this myself, I was like, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm here again because I never imagined having to use these tools on myself, but here I am. And I wanted to share with you some of the discoveries that I have had recently that really have progressed over the years. And one of the main things that I noticed with myself personally is it's a progression, right? So in the beginning of your relationship, or you may be in a place in your relationship, maybe in your follicular days, this is what I was noticing a pattern. In your follicular days, your partner may be, saying positive things about you because they're feeling good. They're feeling good in the relationship. There's no need to criticize because they're getting their needs met. There's no need for them to criticize because you're getting your needs met. You're in this really happy place, right? And so everything is really feeling good. And so they're telling you, you're amazing. I love you. All of these things that make you feel really safe and secure in the relationship and safe and secure with your partner, because you know that at the end of the day, even if you're suffering in PMDD, you see that your partner really still wants to be with you. They really just love you. And you feel there's a protection in that. When your PMDD partner speaks positively about you, or you can, notice them looking at you with adoration, like the heart emojis with those eyes, even if you're feeling low within yourself, you get a level of confidence when you know that your partner feels good about you, when you know that they're happy, when you know that they're satisfied. And I know that was so true for me that I was feeding off of that. Like I would cause myself to literally suffer in PMDD if I knew that I could do something for my PMDD partner that was going to make him happy. That's the level that I was at. That's the level of dedication that I had towards my PMDD partner's happiness because it meant so much to me and it made me feel like I was a good PMDD partner. It made me feel like I was worthy of being in a relationship. It gave me that confidence that even though I have PMDD, I can still make my partner happy. I can still do the things that he needs. And I remember towards the end, he was even making comments and saying, after I would do certain things, he would say, I feel loved, or I feel, thank you for that. And he was very, grateful. And I appreciated him giving me that feedback. And I think that he knew that I needed that feedback. And he kind of wanted to reinforce what the things that I was doing so that I would continue to do them because they made him feel good. And so I was in that place of getting those positive, confirmations from him that I was doing a good job. And, I started to really depend on that. my confidence started to lie in my PMDD partner's acceptance. And that is why the hurtful words hurt so much towards the end, because I would go into PMDD and I would still be doing all the things, right? I'd be like, I got to make sure I do this. I got to make sure I do that. I have to make sure I do this. I have to make sure I'm not shutting down too much. I have to make sure that I'm giving the attention that he needs. I have to make sure that I'm there, that I'm responding in enough time. And I have to make sure that there was so many things. I began to like program like a scroll in my mind of things that I felt like I had to do in order to keep my PMDD partner happy. And I was suffering. I was literally drowning because every single time there was a little comment that was said as to, I wasn't doing something right, or just any little bit of criticism destroyed my confidence. I literally felt like it physically caused me pain, especially when I was in PMDD, because, PMDD has a way of making you feel worse about yourself. You're showing up differently, you're fatigued, you're struggling through everything, you're fighting through it, you're trying to show that you're not fighting through it, even though you are, you're trying to act normal. I think that's one of the biggest things that clients say, that it's the hardest, because you're sitting there and you're trying to pretend like you're not literally dying inside when you really are. And you're just trying to just go along on autopilot. So for me, one of my coping mechanisms was I would just go on autopilot. I would have a list of things to do, and I would just go and do all the things to distract myself from feeling like I was in the suffering that I was in, right? I was high functioning. And if you're my private client, you know what that is. And it's basically when you're a high functioning PMDD partner where you're suffering, but you're still doing all the things. So it makes it a little bit harder for your partner to even know that you're suffering to the extent that you are, because you're always all over the place. You're like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And so when we have private sessions, clients are like, I didn't know that my partner was suffering, because they're still doing all of the things, right? But I just remember so many times that I would go in the bathroom and cry. Oh my God, I think I'm going to remember, I'm still in the healing journey and I'm talking about these things. And it's really hard for me. It's still really hard for me. And I think I'm trying not to shy away from the journey that I'm on. I'm trying not to shut down, because I have the avoidant attachment style when I go into PMDD, and my coping mechanism is to just shut down. And so in this time, I'm trying not to do that. I'm fighting it, right? So even right now, I feel like I'm about to cry, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going, because I want to give you the tools, right? Um, but because I can remember, this is why I'm about to cry, is because I can remember how horrible I felt when my PMDD partner would criticize me when I felt like I was literally killing myself for him. And I don't mean physically, obviously. I mean, I was pouring everything I had into my PMDD partner. And I remember it was like during his health scare. And I was taking care of him, and I felt like I did a good job. I felt like, okay, I did everything I was supposed to do. And then he went back home and he made a statement and said, I just know that if I ever get sick again, I can't depend on you to really be there for me. I just know that if this ever happens to me again, if I'm ever in this situation again, I just know you're not the person that's going to be able to support me the way I need to be supported. When I tell you, when I heard that level of criticism, my heart literally broke, because I was giving everything I had. Literally, I was not holding back anything. I was being so selfless. I wasn't even talking about my PMDD symptoms. I was not bringing them up. I was not asking for anything. I was not saying, hey, can you be sensitive to the fact that I'm suffering right now? I think the biggest thing that I asked for was one time after, I had spent, days of taking care of him, of pulling him out of the bed when he couldn't get up, and making all his meals, and still going to work, and still homeschooling, my daughter, and still taking care of the dog, and still doing all the things. And I just said, he went home after one of his visits here, and I said, I just need like a day. I just need a little bit of time to like rebuild myself, right? Because I was depleted. I was running on E. I was not sleeping. I was just, I was empty. I was empty, and I didn't have anyone or anything pouring into me, but I was continuously pouring into everyone else. I still had back-to-back client calls. I still showed up in the Breakup Proof Academy. I still showed up recording podcasts. I still have a full-time job in the military. Like I had so much on my plate, and I was completely happy to do everything that I do. It's all by choice. I choose to do this, right? So I never complain about anything, but I think what I need to do to build my confidence back up and just do the things that I need to do to allow me to feel like I'm capable of doing what I do is things like my morning routine, is taking time alone with God, is really journaling out my feelings, using the tools that I give you as my clients. I use them on myself. This is how I know that they work. I never give you anything that I haven't tested and tried and it's not worked before, right? If I develop a tool and it doesn't work on me, my clients or anything, I'm not sharing them with you. I'm not even sharing them with my clients, right? So everything is proven specifically for PMDD partners, but there's an internal process. And no one sees the behind the scenes of the internal process that it takes to develop these tools. It's not easy. It is not easy to go so deep within my pain, to expose everything that I'm going through, to expose every level of suffering that I'm going through while I'm in PMDD, and create a tool to help, because it's a process that I know that I'm able to do, but it takes a lot out of me. And so I asked for some time. I remember I said, I just need some time, because I guess he was noticing that my mood was off. Like, I guess I was being more, kind of like emotionless. You know how you get into PMDD and there's not that much emotion there. So you're kind of like, just like, hey, babe, hey, like you want to be able to express more emotions, but it's just not in you. And that's where I was. I was just doing the best I can. I wasn't ignoring him. I wasn't not responding, which is what I really wanted to do. I really just wanted to shut down and hide, but I was still responding. But I was doing so in a way that wasn't as open and loving as he needed. And he called me out on it in a way that was like criticizing me. It was like, what's wrong with you? Because I think he was in such a good mood that he was expecting me to be on that high. And he felt really good about the trip. And of course, he felt really good about the trip because I had poured everything. It was an imbalance. Sometimes when you're in PMDD, there's an imbalance when you're pouring into your partner and your partner's finally happy and it took everything out of you. So you're depleted, but then your partner's happy. So then when you show up and you're depleted, they're like, what's wrong with you? Like, why is your mood off? Why is the vibe not loving? Why is it not open and all of these things? And you're like, I'm struggling. And in any healthy PMDD relationship, you have to be able to tell your PMDD partner that you're struggling and they not take it as a direct attack on them. Just because you're struggling in PMDD doesn't mean that your partner is a horrible person. And that was not what I was saying. And that's not what I tell my private clients when we have these sessions and they're being open about how they're feeling. You need to be able to be open and vulnerable with your partner about how you're feeling without them getting so defensive and feeling like you're attacking them. Sometimes you could be struggling in PMDD and it has nothing to do with your partner. But if you feel like you're not able to communicate that because they're going to take it personally, then you're going to build this wall between you and your PMDD partner because you're going to feel like I can't really say what's going on with me because my partner's going to think I'm attacking them and then it's going to cause an argument and then we're going to be fighting. And so I'm just going to hold it in and keep it to myself. And then there's a lack of intimacy. And then there's no vulnerability. And then if you're not being open with them, who are you being open with? Either you're holding it into yourself or you're going to look for someone else to open up to that you feel like it's safe. So I remember being in that place of just saying, I just need a moment. I joke with my best friend, Angie. I'm like, I just need a moment to think it over with Twix. Like, that's how I feel because I know me. If I can go internal and rebuild myself, I can be back within like a day. I would say not even a full day because it's like, I would say like, give me, and I would have to time it, right? Because that's how strategic it had to be because I had to be able to communicate when I was coming out of it. Like, hey, I need a couple hours. I would say, give me a good 4 hours. And I take that time and I go internal and I develop the tools because I use my PMDD pain has a purpose. So every time I'm feeling an immense amount of pain, that's when I go in my hole and I develop the tools. And it is horrific sometimes. I mean, like ugly Kim K tears. I'm in the shower crying. I don't know why I get a lot of my tools when I'm in the shower. And I'm like, I have nowhere to write this down. I don't know like how I'm gonna do that. Like I try to hurry up. I literally have a notebook that I keep in my bathroom because I literally will like rush out the shower and everything will just come to me. And I'm like, this is what my people, PMDD partners, this is what they need. This is what's gonna help. This is what's gonna help. And so I literally go through that process and then I go on walks outside. And I think that day that I asked my PMDD partner for some time, I was going on a walk and I was just needing to like to just download a lot of my thoughts and my tools and how am I going to communicate this and what's the best format and I was just wanting permission to go through that process. Literally, it felt like at times, no, it was at times I felt like I had to ask permission to do what I do, to do what I do best, which is develop tools for PMDD partners. I was in that place where I was struggling to carve out those times. And I've never, with my daughter, it's easier because she understands, she has her own routine and she knows if mommy is, recording a podcast, I go to my office or the studio, or I go, to a co-working space. And if I have private clients, yeah, I can just tell her and she knows. And I make sure she's good before. If I, with my dog, I walk my dog, I make sure he's fed. I do all the things to make sure that everybody's okay. Nobody's neglected, nobody's not getting attention. And I was trying to add my PMDD partner in the mix of that. I was just trying to say, hey, I had done all the things. I felt like he was good. And then I felt like, okay, now I have time to develop these tools. Now I have time to do this. Now I have time to process my feelings because a lot of the suffering that I was going through, I was compartmentalizing it. I was like, I'll deal with that later. I'll deal with that later. It's all about him. I'll deal with that later. And when he got upset with me and criticized me for taking that time, and he's like, what do you mean? I thought this was a good trip. I thought we were good. Like, really? Like, that's when he made the comment about, I just know next time, if I ever go through this, you're not willing to show up for me in a way that I need. Now, I want to preface, I just want to say there's nothing wrong with that. He was being very open and honest with telling me that I was not giving him what he needed. This was part of the breakup. This was part of the reason why we broke up, is because I gave everything. This was not for a lack of effort. It wasn't that I wasn't trying. And I believe that he believed he was trying to the best of his ability with everything that he was going through, right? Because he was going through a lot of struggles, and I'm not going to overshadow that and make it seem like he was just choosing to say hurtful words or choosing to emotionally not connect with me or choosing to criticize me in the way. I don't believe that it was a conscious choice. I believe it happened, like it's real, but I don't believe that he was doing it to hurt me. Did it hurt me? Absolutely. Did it break me? Absolutely. Did I feel like a piece of crap? I don't curse on here, but you know what I mean. I felt horrible about myself. My confidence was gone, right? My confidence was gone. And that's so not like me, because I think one of the things that attracted him to me to him, both sides, is our confidence. Like we worked on ourselves. We both had more when we met and we were dating, we both had morning routines. We took care of ourselves. We were positive people. We wanted to help people, you know, we were inspiring, we were motivating, and did we have hard times in our life? Yes, but it's not like we were inspiring and motivating because everything was going great. Like I had horrible things happen to me. I have so much childhood trauma. I have relationship trauma. I've been cheated on. I've been robbed. I mean, so many things. So for all of you who think that I've had like the best life and that's why I'm so positive, that's not the case. It is a conscious choice. It is a daily choice that I have to make to show up this way despite everything that I've gone through, because I could be bitter. I could totally be bitter. And I've seen what that looks like, and I've seen what that gets people, and I've chosen not to go on that journey. I'm like, and that's probably why I'm so against it. Like whenever I'm going through anything with PMDD or my partner or my ex-partner or anything, I'm just like, please don't let me get bitter. Please don't let me get bitter, because you can get stuck in that. And I've done episodes on that before. So if you haven't listened, just scroll back and look for bitter in the title. But I'm going to show you today about how criticism from your PMDD partner can kill your confidence and what you can do about it, because I don't want you to be in that place. Right now, I'm having to rebuild, and it is a full-time job to rebuild your confidence after the person that you love and care about the most has criticized you. There's a level of pain that goes behind criticism from a person that you are pouring everything into. Now, if you're not trying your best and your PMDD partner says something about you, I think it's like, if I wasn't doing anything, if I was just being like all about me and all about my suffering, and he was suffering, and I was just like, oh, you got to figure it out because I'm in PMD and I'm suffering. And if he criticized me, I don't think I would have cared as much. I don't think it would have hurt me, because I would have been like, well, I'm not really being there for him. So like, he's not lying. If he says I'm a piece of crap, like, he's not lying. If he says that I'm not supporting him, he's not lying. If he says that I'm not there for him, he's not lying. But when you're doing all the things and you feel like you're killing yourself doing it. And by killing yourself, I know this is a sensitive word, so I'm just going to keep prefacing. I don't mean physically. I mean like squeezing a tube of toothpaste. You know how when you need to buy another tube, or maybe you have a fresh tube, but you keep folding it over and you're trying to get that last little bit out of it. And you're like, oh, no, I don't need to get a new tube. I can just, keep squeezing this one and pulling it and pushing it and flattening it out and get some more out of it. That's how I felt like I was. I was getting folded over and over and over. And it's like, I was like, I don't think I have anything left. I don't think I have anything left to give. I don't have any more tricks up my sleeve. Like, I need to go back to the drawing board and replenish myself. And again, this only would have taken hours, but this is the way it's going to show up in your PMDD relationship. If criticism has been killing your confidence, you're going to have a lot of self-doubt. That's number one. Criticism from your PMDD partner is going to lead to you questioning things that you know that you're good at. That's how I knew it was criticism from my PMDD partner, because I was questioning things like I knew I was good at. I was overthinking recording my podcast. When you start overthinking, you're already overthinking in PMDD anyway. But I was overthinking it because he would say little comments like, well, you're supposed to be this positive person and helping PMDD partners. How can you do this, this, and this? And like saying certain things about our relationship. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, am I not being a good PMDD partner? How am I going to lead PMDD partners if I'm not being good? None of my clients ever told me any of these things, right? None of my clients ever said like, hey, like, Dr. Rose, you're not really on it. Or my business has been amazing. I've never seen a decline in my business. I've seen it continuously grow. And the loyalty that I have with my private clients, I love them so much. And I wasn't getting anything from the people that I was actually serving. I was getting it from my PMDD partner. And it was causing me to second guess decisions, to second guess my self-worth and undermine my natural ability to do what it is that I do, because I do believe it's a gift. I don't believe that this is something that I learned in school. Like, I have my doctorate in, trauma and all these things, but having PMDD and developing these tools, it is a gift. And that's what I had to recognize. And that's why I've always been so confident in what it is that I do and the clients that I serve, because no one else can do what I do, because no one else has suffered to the extent that I have. And it's not like a badge of honor. It hurts, but it's like, I know I'm so confident in what I'm able to develop for PMDD partners that I've never questioned it. But my criticism from my PMDD partner was like, man, I don't know. So maybe, and then also criticism with my parenting. I've always been told like, you're a good mom, you're a great mom, and all of these things. And my PMDD partner starts to criticize my parenting, pretty much say that I wasn't a good mom because I wasn't parenting in a way that he felt like I should be parenting. And so I started to, even talk to my daughter differently, like maybe I need to be more stern, or and I've never had an issue with parenting, everyone knows me, knows that I'm a good mom. Like I started asking my best friends about, certain things like, hey, do you think I should do this? And they literally said to me, why are you asking me that? And they were like, why are you never asked me about this? You never question, your parenting and it was starting to pour over into all areas of my life because I started to like ask people, hey, do you think I should do this? Do you think I'm a good, like, it was basically me asking people was I a good person? Because the criticism was directly related to certain areas of my life and things that I was doing. And so the self-confidence the doubt was just there. And then so that's the first sign that your PMDD partner, their criticism is killing your confidence. The next sign is the negative self-perception. So constant criticism from your PMDD partner can cause you to have a negative self-image about yourself. Like you're going to begin to see yourself through the lens of your PMDD partner. You're going to be able to take the feedback that they give you, and then all of a sudden, you're seeing yourself through that lens. So they're commenting on your kindness and saying that you're not loving. All of a sudden, you're going to start to think that you're not loving. You're going to start to think that like maybe I'm a mean person. Maybe I'm not a good friend. Maybe I'm not a good partner. Maybe I don't have it in me to be a good PMDD partner. You're going to start to question who you are because what you're seeing in yourself is going to be through the lens of your PMDD partner. It can even be physically. If your PMDD partner makes a comment about you being lazy or you not doing as much, you'll begin to see yourself as lazy. You're going to begin to speak those words about yourself because you're going to really think that, man, maybe I am a lazy person. Because the reason why is because this person is supposed to be your most intimate partner in any relationship. So if they're saying it about you, you're thinking it must be true. If my PMDD partner is saying this, it must be true because they're around me the most. They're the most intimate partner there is. And that's why there's so much power in the criticism that your PMDD partner gives you, is because you give them power because they're your intimate partner. Because you feel like if anybody should know me, it's my PMDD partner. So if they're saying something about me, it has to be true. And so the next way that criticism from your PMDD partner can kill your confidence is a fear of failure. When you start experiencing frequent, like consistent criticism from your PMDD partner on a monthly basis, it can instill a fear of failure. I had this so bad. Every single time my PMDD partner would come for a visit, I would be experiencing so much fear because my worst fear was my PMDD partner coming to visit and then him going back and saying that the visit was bad, saying that he didn't feel loved, he didn't feel cared for, he didn't feel adored, he didn't feel validated, he didn't feel needed, he didn't, whatever it is, I started to have a very, like, it was bad anxiety. And that was and I got criticized for it. So he would say, every single time that you pick me up from the airport, you're just really closed off. You're really closed off and you're not really open and loving. And it was because I was experiencing fear. I had a fear of failure. I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail on this visit. He's not going to feel loved. And so when I was picking him up, I was just like, I was overthinking everything in my mind. And I was like, I got to make sure the house is good. I have to make sure, because he likes things clean. And I have to make sure I have activities for us to do because he doesn't like being bored. And I have to make sure that, our sleeping arrangements are going to be good because when he snores, I can't sleep. And then I get in trouble for not, for complaining about not sleeping because then it's his fault. And then I'm calling him the bad guy because he's snoring. And I had so much fear of failure because I felt like failure for me with my PMDD partner was going to break me. That the criticism really feels like it's the worst thing ever. Like you can get into a heightened level of fear and anxiety, especially when you're in PMDD, when they start to criticize you because you're almost like, what more do you want from me? Like I literally am doing the best that I can. Like I literally, I don't know what to tell you. I can't do anything more. And you can start to act out of character because of that fear. Like you're so high, your cortisol levels, if you could see your body on the inside out, I mean, I've seen it so many times with private clients when they come on sessions like that. And I just literally have to get rid of the fear before we can even move on with anything else. I have to help them get rid of that fear because it will take over you to where you're on an edge. They can turn around and be behind you and you'll be jumping. You'll be like, oh my gosh, oh my God, everything was okay. Do you need something? Blah, blah. Like you just don't want to hear another level of criticism from them because you feel like you almost can't take it. So let me just do everything that they need me to do so that I don't hear how horrible of a PMDD partner I am. So that leads into the number four, which is an avoidance of risk. When you fear being criticized by your PMDD partner, it discourages you from taking any risk and doing anything new with your PMDD partner. Like if you feel like you want to even be, and then this leads into the realm of intimacy. This leads into when you want to be intimate with your partner, maybe you want to try something new, right? Maybe you want to do something, wear something new. You want to wear a new outfit. You almost don't do those things because you feel like you're anticipating your PMDD partner's criticism. So you don't want to do it because you feel like they're going to say something about you. Like you may not wear a certain thing because you feel like, oh my gosh, if I wear this, they're going to say something about me. I remember this happened to me one time. I was taking my PMDD partner on a date. I was like, oh, I'm going to visit. Let's go to a comedy show. He likes comedy. I'm overthinking everything. I'm trying to make sure everything's right. So we go to this comedy show and it's a brunch. It's a Sunday brunch, right? And I thought I was doing a good job, right? So it's almost like when you calm down, you let your guard down. You're like, okay, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And I, I took him to this brunch. I sit down. I made sure it had really good food that he liked. And then he made a criticism because you're not going to believe this, PMDD partners. The brunch was a Magic Mike brunch. So if you don't know what the movie Magic Mike is, go look it up. You're going to see it's like with male strippers. And we were sitting in the front row. I could not believe, like, I thought it was funny, like, especially because it was like a Sunday morning. And I was like, what's going on? Like, so it's Sunday morning. We go to this Magic Mike brunch, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like mortified. But then also, I think it's kind of cute and funny because there's going to be like legit strippers coming out. And I was just like, I thought, okay, well, what's the worst can happen? Like, blah, blah, blah. And so he made a criticism and said, oh, I really didn't take you for someone that would like something like this. Like, pretty much like, oh, I didn't think you were into this. I didn't think you were into like strippers and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, no, no. Like, I didn't know that it was like a Magic Mike. Like the criticism was like record scratch. You know how you're having a good time. And he said that. And I was like, what? And I was like, no. So I kind of went into what's number 5, which is the withdrawal and isolation. So persistent criticism from your PMDD partner can make you withdraw from talking to them, from having a conversation. This really, 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 really impacted how I opened up to him, because I almost felt like it wasn't safe to just be open and honest with him about what was really going on with me, because I felt like it was going to be criticized. It was going to be judged. And that is like the worst feeling ever, to be judged by someone who you feel like is your person. Because this is supposed to be your best friend. Like, best friends don't judge each other. Best friends don't think the worst of each other. And so I'm like, you should know me. You should know I'm not into like stripping about, like, just, enjoy yourself. And I think because he criticized something that, I was put my heart and soul into, like, I'm trying to make sure he has a good time, I started to withdraw. And that withdrawal started to cause an issue with our PMDD relationship, because every single time I would withdraw, he would call me out on it. Like, oh, here you go again. You can't take a comment. You can't take anything. You're always shutting down. You're always triggered. Everything's a PMDD trigger with you. Like, this is what I was hearing, which was, again, you're criticizing the criticism. Like, it was piled on top of each other. And it's like, I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm not withdrawing and shutting down on purpose. My feelings are hurt. Like, I'm literally hurting. And then I felt like now I can't hurt because my hurting is causing more criticism. And then I'm overthinking how I respond to being, criticized and hurt. And I felt like I was literally going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, I just couldn't win. And I felt like I just can't win. I literally felt like that. After every visit, I would go back to the drawing board. I'm like, I just can't win with him. And I literally started to question. I was like, I don't even think he really likes me anymore. Like, I don't think, because here's why. I've not changed. I'm the same person, but I feel like the level of criticism towards the end was so magnified. I literally was the same person. I was almost doing more. and I was criticized for everything that I was doing. When you're walking around and you're being judged and criticized, you start walking on eggshells and you feel like you can't do anything. Like that's like the last tool that I'm going to give you today. When you feel like you're walking around and everything you're doing is being judged, everything you're doing is being magnified. It's almost like they're digging into every single thing that you're doing. They're creating a story in their mind about why you're doing it. You just feel like you can't be yourself, so then you just do nothing. You're just like lying dormant. But then you get criticized for doing nothing. So the tools for this, if you feel like if any of this resonated with you, if you feel like, yeah, I feel like I'm going through this with my PMDD partner, here are the tools. Here it is. The first thing I need you to do is to understand is to ask yourself, when have you felt the most confident? Because now we're going back to the drawing board and we're rebuilding your confidence. This is why my PMDD partner's morning routine is so important for me, because now I have to rebuild my confidence. Like I just have to. I have to do it daily, because sometimes the criticism that you've had from your PMDD partner, those words stick with you, they stay with you, and then all of a sudden you're hearing it again in your mind, even if they're not saying it again, it's stuck in your head. So you may be going on and thinking that you're doing a good job, but then the words that your PMDD partner said are in your head. Once they're in your head, they get in your heart, they get in your emotions, they control things that you do, things that you don't do. You have to rebuild yourself. So the first part of my PMDD partner's morning routine, again, you don't have to do what I do, but I want you to customize this for you. And I do this for my private clients. So if that's something that you know that you need help with, if you're like, Dr. Rose, I need to rebuild my confidence. And you, number one, I don't want you asking your PMDD partner to do it for you. This is the inside job. This is something that you have to do for yourself. Your PMDD partner cannot rebuild their confidence for yourself. They can kill it with their criticism, but they can't rebuild it for you. It's not your fault. Like what your PMDD partner said, the criticism is not your fault, but building yourself back up is your responsibility. And I know what you're thinking, that's not fair. I didn't bring this on myself. It's not fair. PMDD is not fair. But rebuilding ourselves in PMDD and controlling how we show up is our responsibility. And so I want you to develop a routine that is going to make you feel better, whatever that looks like. For me, I know I'm greatly impacted by how I feel. My emotions are controlled by my movement. I get endorphins. When I get endorphins, like I do from my movement during my morning routine, I start to feel better about myself. And then I'm able to journal. Then I'm able to write down my thoughts. But when you look better, you feel better, right? I always say this, but I'm very sensitive to the fact that when you're in PMDD and you're bloated and you're uncomfortable and you're all these things, it's not so much a matter of you comparing yourself to someone else and saying, I need to look like this in order to feel confident again. When is the last time you felt comfortable in your body? When is the last time you felt comfortable in your body, a level that your body has actually been at? Never compare your body to somebody else's body and say, I want my body to look like that, and then I'm going to feel comfortable. Everybody has levels that they've been at certain times in their life. And you could be like, oh, when I was a size this, I felt good about myself. I wasn't shameful about the clothes that I was wearing. I didn't feel like I needed to cover up myself around my PMDD partner. How you feel in your body affects how you show up in your PMDD relationship. If you are going through a lot with your PMDD relationship and your confidence is taking a hit and you don't feel comfortable in your body, it's just going to make it worse for you. You're going to start to feel, even because you're going to start to feel like maybe my PMDD partner is not attracted to me because they're saying these criticisms and they're not, opening up to me as much. They're not, they're not turned on by me. Maybe I feel like they're not turned on by me. That doesn't mean that it's true, but you start to shut down and get closed off in your own body because you feel like they're not attracted to you because you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. So do an activity that causes you to be active so you can feel confident. You don't have to be at a certain size, but doing some kind of movement puts you in, and it could be like 30 minutes a day where you're taking a walk. You take a walk, you get those endorphins, and then you feel good about yourself because now you're proud of yourself. You got that dopamine hit. I did something to feel good in my body. And then the next way to rebuild your confidence is mantras. I'm not really big on affirmations, like the standard, I am strong, I am this, I am that. I use I ams, but they have to be very specific to what it is that you want to be, the kind of person that you want to be. I started to question things about myself. So I started to write out mantras. I am loving. I am caring. I am kind. I'm creative. I am helpful. All of the things that I knew about myself, but the confidence was with the fact that it was leaving me. I had to rebuild that. I had to start reminding myself daily. When I say daily, I mean daily. And I choose to do this right after I do my workout. After I work out, I start saying my mantras and I'm just rebuilding that confidence within myself. I want you to take some time for yourself. I don't want you to rebuild your confidence based off of any outside entities, because then you're going to be depending on that outside entity to do it. By outside entity, I mean, I don't want you to get confidence by someone else telling you that you're a good person. I don't want you to get confidence by posting something on social media and people liking it, because if people stop liking it, then you're going to stop feeling confident. Everything has to come from you. The work that you do for you has to come from you. So that is why when I take my time for myself in my morning routine, my phone is on do not disturb. I'm not talking to anybody else, because I want to make sure that the tools that I'm doing to rebuild myself, I can always come back to myself and get it. I can always come back to myself and get it. So this is what I want you to do. Every single time that you're in that space, I want you to take some time throughout your day. It could be a morning routine, an evening routine, an afternoon routine. You can even do it in pockets of time, but I want you to develop 5 things that you can do on a daily basis that is going to rebuild your confidence specifically. 5 things. I can tell you my 5 things and then you can mimic them for what feels good to you, because I never want you doing something that someone else is doing and it really doesn't make you feel good. I remember everybody used to talk about meditation, and I remember I was trying it for years and I was beating myself up because I was sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to sit with my legs crisscross applesauce. I have to sit there and I have to like be quiet and just be like, and it never worked for me. And I was beating myself up about it because, I felt like, man, it's not working for me. It's working for all these other people. Why is it not working for me? Maybe I'm a bad person. All of these things. And it was that it wasn't the right form of meditation for me. So what works good for me is walking meditation. I need to get outside. So I'm gonna break down my PMDD partner's morning routine for you, and this is what I do to rebuild my confidence. And it doesn't take me. I can do all this in an hour. I know some of you may think that it takes longer, but if you're trying to develop a routine and you need it customized, make sure you go to my website, inlovewithpmdd.com. You can book one session with me and we can knock this out. One session, and I can customize a whole PMDD partner's morning routine for you that is going to help rebuild your confidence. So the first thing is I spend time with God every single morning. As soon as I wake up, I'm going to be really honest, I tend to have a lot of negative thoughts, worries, doubts, fears first thing in the morning. I'm not sure why, but it hits me hard, especially when I'm in PMDD. Even when I'm in my good days, in my follicular days, I overthink and I think really negatively. And no one knows this because I take the time to rewire my brain before I speak to anyone. So I spend time with God, and I really just tell God today to just please, help me be positive. What is it that you would have for me to do today? I know my gift. I know what I'm designed to do. And I really just ask for his help every single day, and every single thing that I'm doing. I'm saying I need you, because I can't do it alone. I'm never going to tell you, hey, I'm just doing it on my own, because, this is just what I do. I spend time with God to really understand, what is it that you would have for me to do today? I say that prayer every single day. What is it that you have for me to do today? Please remove any negativity that I have. And please just let me get rid of any bitterness. Let me get rid of any resentment. Let me get rid of, I used to do this every single time with the criticisms from my PMDD partner. Please don't let me respond to my PMDD partner. Let me get out of my head, get the negativity out of my heart. Please just restore me. Restore me to just erase it. Please just let me go on and erase this from my heart, erase it from my mind, so I can move forward and be loving. A simple prayer that I say every single day. And then the next thing I do is movement. I go straight into movement because a lot of times when I'm spending time with God, I can get into that place where I get really comfortable, really comfy. And I'm like, no, gotta get up, because then I'll go back to sleep. So I do some kind of movement. Every single time when I'm doing my morning routine, I do exercise. It's different on a day-to-day basis based off of what I feel like I'm capable of doing within that day. So based off of whether I'm in PMDD or I'm not in PMDD, I do what I feel like I'm capable of doing and let that be enough. Sometimes it's only 30 minutes, and it could be a walk, it could be a jog, it could be bar, it could be yoga, it could be whatever I feel. And I give myself the freedom in that. I remember earlier in my journey, I used to do these cookie cutter programs where it's like, you need to do the workout that it says you need to do on this day. And I didn't have it in me. So I was like beating myself up, and that doesn't work for me. So I'm very intuitive with my movement. And the next thing is number 3, getting outside. And luckily I have a dog, so I get outside every single day to walk Mr. Leo. And I get outside. I don't care if it's cold. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's sunshine. I get outside and I spend at least 20 minutes walking Leo outside. There's been times where I've been traveling where I haven't had my dog. I'm still getting outside. Something happens about getting outside, and it's not necessarily about the sun. The sun helps, but even whatever the weather is, you always feel better after getting outside. The next thing is journaling. I tend to have a lot of thoughts ruminating in my head. You don't have to do pen and paper journaling, right? I've told my private clients to some of them have a verbal journal where you can just put the recorder on your phone and you can just talk out your thoughts. I have a notes app in my Apple phone, and I just write in my notes app sometime while I'm walking and I'm doing my walking meditation and I'm journaling my thoughts. I'm just writing it down. And the last thing that I do to rebuild my confidence is my mantras. After I'm finished my walk or whatever, I say my mantras. I am this, I am this, I am this, and then I'm good. Then I've restored myself. So again, these are 5 things that can be done in less than an hour. If you need help with restoring your confidence because the criticism from your PMDD partner has killed your confidence, I know what that feels like. I don't want you to stay stuck in that place, because the longer you stay in that place, it's only going to get worse. And I knew that. I knew that your confidence only goes down worse once it's in that place. It doesn't magically come back to you. Rebuilding your confidence is a very intentional thing. You have to actively do something about it. It's not just going to come back. And so the course that I have for the month of March is going to be on rebuilding your confidence, right? So February, we are in the month of February right now, and we're talking all about the Passionate PMDD Partners course. It is available. I put the link in the show notes, or you can go to inlovewithpmdd.com, go under courses. So I'm going to be having monthly courses that are going to be available for you now, and it's really going to help you because the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy was a place where, or is a place where you can consistently get tools, but I'm making it into courses so that you can have the content for what it is that you are specifically going through in your PMDD relationship. The community is going to be there, but you can literally just decide, I just need this course. I just need to rebuild my confidence, and then I'll be good, right? Whatever it is that you're going through, there's going to be a course for you in there, and you're going to be able to have access to the Breakup Proof Academy, the private Facebook group, while you're in the course. And then after that, if you choose to leave, just DM me, like, I'm good with the course. Thank you, Dr. Rose, and we're good to go. So I'm making it very easy for you here in 2024, because I want you to just have the tools. I don't want you to think that it's too hard. I don't want you to think that the commitment is too overwhelming. I don't want you to feel like getting the tools for your PMDD relationship to stop the PMDD monthly breakups is something that's overwhelming for you. I'm making it as simple as possible so that you can be able to move forward and not suffer in your PMDD relationship. So if you know that the confidence is something that you know that you're going to need, then go to my website and you'll be able to get this right now. It's going to start in March. And until the next episode, I love you. We got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.